welcome to the Omega Files. I'm your host, Dr. Freedom, and we're here tonight to talk about a recent adaptation of a Japanese anime series called Death Note. Now, this one was pretty weird, I'll have to say that, but at the same time, it holds a very basic message that we're going to talk about over the next, few minutes or so. All right, so when I call your name out, go ahead and go right into your opening thoughts on the movie. And that's what we're doing, the movie versions. So you folks out there, don't get confused. We're doing the movie, not the anime series, okay? We are going to talk about the anime series a little. All right, so keep calm. All right, so starting off tonight, let's start with Lady Neo.
Okay, hello everyone. Death Note. Did I see all of Death Note? No. I did watch a few episodes of the anime. Did peek at some of the mangas. Then I read some of the mangas online. Now the movie in general, okay. If I hadn't done that, I would have probably gave this a decent watch. But since I know the anime a little bit and I know the manga a little bit more, I really don't like this movie. Except one person. I don't know his name, but the guy that played, I think I'm going to say it wrong, maybe it's Rook.
Oh, that was Willem Dafoe.
Yes. Awesome. Beautiful. That's what kept me going. I'm done.
Okay, short, sweet, and to the point. All right. Okay, moving on. I pressed the wrong button again. There we go. Okay, moving on. Let's move on over to, let's go to Beefhead and Beef Daughter, or however things go about. All right.
Yes, hello. Yes, it's me, Beef of Earthsea 137, and daughter, Molly.
Hi.
Yeah, this is a foray into a world that I'm not massively familiar with. It's something that my resident expert knows more about than I do. So I've gone into this not having read the books, not having watched the anime, and it was enjoyable to a certain degree, but it fell into a lot of tropes of more bitches, more problems, and a lot of emo type feeling. I completely agree with Neo. It was, the best part of it was Reku, was it? Ryuk, yeah. William Dafoe. He's fantastic. He's a mad bastard, for want of a better term, and he's got a great voice to be sort of egging you on as the demon over your shoulder. I would have liked to have seen so much more of him. I would have liked to have seen him fully fleshed out, but you only tended to see him in sort of soft focus, which was a bit of a pity for me, to be honest with you, when he plays such a big part of the character. The ending is a little bit contrived. It's a little bit Final Destination. What it did do was it encouraged me to go and look at some of the other stuff, and certainly the anime series. And it's for those who have got problems with it. Yeah, there is a night and day difference to it, and I see now why people are complaining about it, because I do get it. It's more, instead of it being a angst teenage romantic type thing, it's more of a sort of duel of wits between L and Light, to be honest with you, which is something that they should have done. I think this could have been, certainly, instead of just like a compressed 1 hour movie, I think there was a lot of development hell associated with it, because I think it was with Warner Brothers and then got picked up by Netflix by default. It should have been done maybe as 3 parts, 4 parts, maybe something, a bit longer, like they've done with other mini-series on Netflix. And over to you.
I've read the mangas, I have the whole collection, and I've watched the anime as well as the Japanese adaptation. So I'm quite a big fan of the series. I didn't go into the movie with very high expectations, and let's just say they didn't even meet the ones I had. What was meant to be a very complex and in-depth show about outwitting each other and being cunning was just completely turned into another Hollywood sort of action movie just very basic and samey. So it was a very disappointing movie.
Okay. Yeah, don't worry. I had the same views on the Dark Tower. Uh, okay, AJ.
Hi there. I'm not really into the animes. I haven't seen them yet. I've seen they're on YouTube, so I might go into that. The first Death Note I saw was the 2-part Japanese movie from 2006, I think it was. That was my first, leap into it. And then I saw the Netflix one, and I'm just like, this is like chalk and cheese, Japanese one, it's brilliant. But then you got the American one. It's like, as Beef said, it felt very Final Destination. The way they write the name down, and a small chain of events causes that person's death, which felt very ridiculous to me in a way. But I didn't like the duality between L and Light. I mean, they're supposed to be like, opposites and all that. And L felt like a really cheap version of Sherlock Holmes, like really cheap. And I just didn't like it. And especially at the end, how he loses his mind. He's trying to go after Light, grabs a gun and he's running after him. It just too action, too Hollywood. It wasn't right whatsoever. I'll get more into it, but Willem Dafoe was the only good part about this. I'm sorry. The Green Goblin voice was just brilliant for Ryuk. So, yeah, that's it for me for now.
All righty. William.
Hey, now, how you doing, everybody? I just seen the 3 live Japanese films. I have not read the manga or seen the anime. So in a way, I'm aware of the main plot of the show. So this movie was supposed to be like copy some of it. Now I understand the plot of just this Netflix film. I'm not saying it's that I hate it, but there's some, like everybody here has been saying, there's some certain plots that could have done better at it. Now the character of Light. Is he like the one in the anime? No, they're 2 different characters. The one, you could tell, the different thing. And then, he was lucky to create the name Kira, based using that name because everybody could think they was from Japan. When of course L figured it out real quick, considering he looked up when the mysterious death appeared like that. The character of L, I didn't like the way it was portrayed in this Netflix film. Considering how I seen him in the live action Japanese one, he was more a thinker and more like he wanted to play chess with Light like that. I wish they would have showed a little bit more of that, especially when they confronted each other in the restaurant. That could have stood out a little bit more better instead of just, you can almost say slapping hands with each other. The way they were talking to each other. The girlfriend of Light, who her name is Mia here. A lot of complaints that they thought that she was going to be playing the character Mira from the anime or the manga like that. In a way, it's good that they didn't do that. If you want to make something different, don't copy word by word, line by line, scene by scene from somewhere else because they're not going to go nowhere. So she was. I liked this character, but the only thing I'm a little upset about, like Beef said, I wish it could have been maybe like a 2 or 3 part or 4-parter because I didn't get to understand this character at all. We just saw her maybe cheerleading, smoking, and she hooked up with Light. And I wish I would have got into more of her character, especially how later on when we see the film that she could become very obsessive with the Death Note book and like she wanted it for herself. Especially how she used it, when she used it in certain parts like that. So, and that character was good, but it wasn't. It needed more background if we were going to stand her more. Light's dad, the actor that played him, he did a good job playing his dad and being a cop like that. And of course, he protected his son when L confronted him like that. So he stood out pretty good. I like he was a good actor in that. William Dafoe as Ryu, his voice was real good. I liked him a lot. So if by chance Netflix would like to do a sequel to this, I'll recommend they will bring him back to do Ryu. And I recommend Big Finish hire him to do some audio because his voice is very unique. So he stands out pretty good like that. Of course, the character Watari, who was the father figure to L like that. I liked him, even though he wasn't there that long in the movie. That he was portrayed pretty good, so he stood out pretty good. I was a little bit shocked at what happened to him, but I thought maybe something else was going to happen to him, not the way he ended. I don't want to reveal too much about. I don't want people who have not seen it. I don't want to reveal the certain scenes like that. So that's not bad. Now, of course, a lot of people, like people saying that some of the plot line was slow, and the chasing, like Molly was saying, was not good like that. I understand that real well, but at the same time, I got the funny feeling that some of these writers and maybe even the director did not watch or read the original source and just wanted to take certain scenes and of course add what we have here in America have seen for so many years of all these chase scenes, shooting scenes, explosions, and all that, instead of just following the book and dealing how you can almost say two teens brought out the character of Kira and almost in a way destroyed the church because people was more into Kira than their own religion. So that's pretty. That could have been brought out if this thing could have been 3 or 4 parts like that. But again, it's up to Netflix if they're gonna do another one or not. But I'm gonna say I don't hate it, but at the same time, it's not the greatest thing ever. But as we've seen and we have done in this year alone, there are certain things that stood out that is much worse than this. As Dr. Freedom has been saying, the Dark Tower is one of them.
Okay, and lastly, but certainly not least, let's go to Doctor Who commentator.
My name's not that hard to pronounce, Beef. No, getting to it. And also for William, I'm going to have to point out to you, the director is actually considering a potential sequel, in fact 2 sequels, and all I can think is, oh god, no. But anyway, this is a great story. Come on. This is a good... Bugger.
There you go.
This is a good further adaptation of that story. This is a great movie. This is a great movie. This is a really desperate attempt to milk it for a spin-off series. It really wasn't that great. This just was not a good movie. I mean, there are so many points I can make with this. I mean, things like, there was part about Misa as a cheerleader. She looked totally disinterested in being a cheerleader. You had Light, who was just so weak, absolutely nothing like the Light before. And that's just a few of it. And just another bit I'll get through quickly. I mean, there were someone who knows this inside and out. There were some additional rules added, and some rules completely changed. Now, one rule they added, I actually thought made perfect sense, given you had to condense a lot of story into one, and that was one of the rules added was that it stated that all deaths must be physically possible. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Unfortunately, they kind of messed that up a bit, which I'll get into later. There's also a rule about if you don't use it for 7 days, the Death Note moves on. No, that doesn't make sense to me. That's not there. And the only way that happens is that they have to relinquish their ownership, and then they lose their memory for it. What else is there? Oh yeah, you can only influence a person for up to 2 days. Okay, that's 2 days. It's the 23-day rule. Come on. And the worst part of all, quite possibly, rip out a page. The person survives. First rule. The human whose name is written in this note shall die. Kind of a fundamental rule there, but that's only the small part. I've got 8 points which I can get in terms of difference between this movie and the original. And yeah, I know it's not. Why are you focusing? I know people are going to be saying, "Oh, why are you focusing on the original and just take this one for what it is?" Because the original was good, and there's some reasons why they just fucked it up. All right, number 1. As I said, Light is a wimp instead of manipulative. This can be truly highlighted. Yeah, let's take a look. Oh, that's the wrong page. All right, here it is. This is the part where Light has realized that his house has been completely bugged and he needs to find ways to make sure move around without. No, I don't know if you can see here, but a lot of this conversation that's taking place, I can't read it obviously because it's to me, but he's actually explaining to Ryuk how things aren't going to go well. He's being watched. Ryuk's laughing away. Ha 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 ha. He's saying, well, you won't be able to have any apples anymore. And with that, it's like, oh no, they'll see the apple. Well, if you want to have some apples, you better find the cameras then. All right, yeah, I'll do it. Should be pointed, Ryuk is not on Light's side in this. He's not on anyone's side in this. He's just trying to do it for a laugh. Number 2, Ryuk walks Light through how to kill, even gives him the pen. Ryuk does not explain to Light in the original how to do the killings. He just wants to have a human pick up the notebook and find it out for themselves. And Ryuk gets surprised, you see right here, that Light has written a lot of names all on his own, and he has no fear of what doing it. This is a testament to Light's character. It shows him and what he's willing to do without any guidance. Number 3, Light's father is introduced way too early. And I mean way too early. For a good part of it, we're seeing him as part of the police force doing the Kira investigation. Then suddenly you wait a bit and oh, he was his father the entire time. That's a good surprise. In this movie, he was just introduced like that. You don't get the surprise. Number 4, prisoners write in Japanese but didn't know Japanese. This comes up to one of the points that isn't actually one of the rules per se, but is part of Light's experimentation with the notebook. Come on. For instance, on this page, it's a series of scenarios which he thinks would happen. Like he tells someone to draw a symbol in their own blood, tells them to go into the toilet and then dies of a heart attack, and tells another to write a suicide note. Then he has a series of rules which he thinks won't work. For instance, tells a prisoner in Japan to go to the top of the Eiffel Tower, which of course he can't do, so he just dies of a heart attack. Another one is draw a picture of L's face. The prisoner has no idea what L looks like, so he can't do it. Then there was one other test he did. This one he thought might work, had a possibility of working, but ultimately didn't. Which was here it is. For the last one I wrote, writes, I know that L suspects the Japanese police. I thought this one might work, but since it didn't, it means that he couldn't write something that he himself did not know or think. In other words, prisoners who did not know Japanese could not have written in Japanese. Okay, where do I go here? Number 5, police oppose Light's father, not like in the original. In fact, that's true. The police are fully on board with investigating Kira and finding Kira, so much we have all these additional characters, such as here. I mean, what happened to Matsuda? Matsuda was the great comic relief of the series. Number 6, L speaks directly in front of camera. Yeah, I know his face is covered, but nonetheless, he's put his face in front of the camera, and that's stupid. You got this part right here where he's got a guy named Lindell Taylor in front of the camera saying he's Kira, he's L, he's investigating. Kira, you will be brought to justice. Kira, you are evil. He does write him down, and this Lindell Taylor guy dies. And then L, surprise, reveals, nope, that wasn't me. I am Kira. Now I know how you need a name and a face to kill. In fact, he actually says, go on, kill me if you can. But he doesn't. And says, so there are people you can't kill. And here's something else. You're in the Kanto region. We broadcast this as a worldwide broadcast, but this is actually in the only air in Kanto region. So now we have a narrowed down idea of where you are. That was clever. And he was in Seattle. There's no reason they couldn't have done a similar thing with America, saying we did this as a nationwide broadcast, but it's only in Seattle. But they didn't do that. Let's see. Number 7. Mia kills the FBI agents. In the original manga, this is again Light's doing. He gets Ray Pember to tricks Ray Pember into writing all the names of the FBI agents onto the Death Note in a very clever manner. And number 8. Yes, Misa, not Mia, Misa. Her meeting with Light is incredibly different. In fact, this atones to how different her character is. In the original one, she was just completely infatuated with Light, to the point that she even said, "I don't mind if you use me." That's how devoted to Light she absolutely, not so much to Light actually, to Kira she absolutely was. She was so infatuated because Kira punished the man who killed her parents. And so she just loved him and would do anything for him. Whereas Light, he just wants to use her because she is much stronger than him. She has the Shinigami eyes. She can see the names of people above their heads. In this version, that is the true Misa. In this Netflix version, she was turned into a complete Lady Macbeth-like character. And I'm sorry, that is just not her character. So yeah, I've rambled on long enough. Let's just get into it.
Like I said, a lot of valid points. I would be doing the same thing whenever we do the Dark Tower movie. But I'm not kidding. But okay, let's go to what the critics had to say, before we hop on and go into the full-blown thing. All right. Now, of course, this is courtesy of Wikipedia. All right. Okay, received mixed to negative reviews, with critics calling it a bad decision on top of a festering pile of bad decisions. Lazy, unambitious, forgettable movie, and boring. Though the direction and the cast receive some praise, and of course, they go into that. But here's the weird part. You get down to the bottom. Sugumi Oba and Takeshi Obata, the original creators of Death Note, have praised the film, with the former stating, in a good way, it both followed and diverged from the original work, so the film can be enjoyed, of course, not only by the fans, but also by a much larger and wider audience. But basically what they're trying to say is Americans are dumb. I have noticed this a lot in adaptations. Like, it was as stupid as when they brought Mad Max over here to the U.S., and then they overdubbed it because they didn't think Americans would be able to understand the Australian lingo. Yes, that's what oh yeah, you can open your mics. We're going to go, let's go ahead and let's open it wide up. Like I said, everyone, of course, praise of Willem Dafoe, and he is always incredible as a villain. Especially when he did the Green Goblin back in Spider-Man and whatnot. Just an amazing actor, and I think he really embraced this character very well. But as you said, I enjoyed the movie. I don't think it was the greatest movie in the whole world, but it certainly wasn't the worst. It wasn't Manos Hands of Fate bad, but okay, which is way down there in the sewer. But like I said, but it was trying to teach a basic point, and that is, a point that we all have heard 1,000 times before, that, absolute power corrupts absolutely. That, you hand somebody the power of death and life, and some people just can't handle it. They go a little overboard. And I think that's what they were trying to get at with Mia, was the fact that, okay, she basically has gotten addicted to this thing. At least that's the vibe I got. Like I said, anybody else, hop on in.
Yeah, like I said, like Mia has nothing to do with Mira, the Japanese manga. They're two different characters. I mean, they probably people thought she was portraying the Mia character, but she's not. She's playing this character, an original character, the girlfriend of Light. Yeah, and she, you could also say that she was more of a thinker than Light was. Was she the one that, because we saw? Remember, we all basing our judgment on just this Netflix film. We can't do the other ones. This character Mira was the one that got the FBI and got all their names and have them to jump to kill themselves. That's something that Light would not have thought of. So right there, that tells you how much of a thinker that she is. Just like at the end, she was the one that wrote. She's the one that wrote Light's name, for him to give her the book, but she could tear it out and not for him not to die. That's how much obsessed she was with the book. So in a way, that's why I liked this character. She's not bad for this Netflix film. She was not bad. I was a little bit upsetting. I'm gonna have to jump the gun. I was a little bit upsetting what happened to this character at the end, because I thought maybe she would have been returned for the next film whenever if they ever going to do that. So that was a little bit upsetting. But like I said, we didn't know that much about her. We didn't know that much about Mira that much. So that was a little bit of the thing. Yes, some of us don't like L. I mean, yeah, you see him the way he sits down, the way it is done in the manga and the anime like that, and the way his obsession with the candies and all that. But that's the only thing that stood out from that. He wasn't playing chess. He wasn't when he was back in Japan and thinking with his teacher like that. That was the way he was. He should have been doing it all through the film. But then when you see because Watari wasn't coming back, and he all of a sudden he goes amok and gets a gun to shoot Light. And the funny thing is, he hasn't yet proven to anyone that it was Light that was doing all this. He just has an assumption. He just broke it down thinking that it is Light. And what's weird, if you follow the film, Light could have, because of what happened to me at the end, he could have said it was Mira that did all that, not him. He was just protecting her. So that would make Elle look real stupid. If somebody could have wrote that in like that, especially in the end of the film, that you see Elle going into Mia's house and finding the page. So that could have proved that Light could have said she was the one doing everything. We're just protecting her, but I loved it like that. So in a way, in that ending, you could say that Light was playing better chess than Elle. Elle, started just went nuts and started wanting to kill a character, but it made no sense right there with Elle what happened to him at the end. But they could have fixed that much easily, or like Beef said, they could have had this as a 3 or 4 part, a 4 part story, to stretch it out a little bit more and get into these characters more.
Am I the only one who thinks?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, AJ. Then go to Beef.
Sorry, I was just gonna. Anyone else think that Elle's backstory was kind of lame? Being that some super trained sleuth by a group. It sounded like Black Widow or something almost.
This hidden band of detectives. Yeah. Go ahead, Beef.
Yeah, it like Will was saying, it's just like you have to make a lot of assumptions and a lot of it's rushed. In the same way with Elle, that it's like, he's the world's greatest detective that you've never heard of. But he's got an addiction to sweets, but sleep, if you don't sleep, then you're not thinking clearly. So what we'll do is we'll sing you a song out of The Wizard of Oz just to help you sleep. And no sleep makes Elle go nuts. It's like that. It reminded me of The Simpsons. No beer make Homer crazy. And you do get that. It's that. Because I think you don't necessarily get it in this. I think you actually get it in the original. Is that I don't like the idea of guns because guns cloud your thought and it's not a cerebral exercise. And then you have a reason for you have no reason why the gun gets it, and it skips over things really quickly. It rushes through it. So unless you're really listening, and when he says like the power, one page carries the same power as the entire note. And if you've missed that, it's sort of like, well, hang on a second, how does the end quite work out? And it's sort of, then it's done like a sort of end of a sort of episode of Columbo, because then you're seeing how everything tied up towards the end. I think you wanted to say something, wasn't it?
Yeah, I really agree with what was said about Elle. I have to admit, though, he was a very good actor, and from the way he did act at the beginning, you could tell he's done some prior research. From the way he sat, which was a big point, so he doesn't necessarily have to watch it for that, but even to the way he walked, hunched over, hands in pockets, very, very similar to the actual character. But the character started good and slowly just descended into complete and utter disappointment.
Yeah.
He, in the anime, manga, and everything, he's portrayed to be very calm and unemotional. So having him react so badly to Watari's death was just really unrealistic. And then to the point where, right at the end, where he goes and finds the last sheet of paper, and from what it hinted at, he wanted to write Light's name, but how would he have any idea what the Death Note actually is able to do, as well as it's a massive hypocritical judgment of his. He's shown to value justice so much, yet he was willing to kill Light, doing exactly what he was opposed to doing.
And also, you've got no idea as well. He says it says, "Oh, it's written, don't trust Ryuk," and it's sort of like, well, you've got no idea why you shouldn't trust him, to be honest with you, because he doesn't really sort of. There's not enough screen time given to him to say, well, why does he actually factor into this? And you could make him such a brilliant comedic character as he can be within the course of the story, anyway. And it is. It's. I think that's the big thing that's missing in it, is that rushed, and you haven't got this sort of main character that everyone associates it visually. And I know they've sort of like changed how it looks as well, which I wasn't massively keen on. I would rather have had something more accurate to it, because I just think it looks badass. But yeah, it is. It's sort of you're missing your main focal character that everyone associates with it. Give people what they want.
It was likely due to the really fancy CGI that they used for Ryuk that he didn't show up as much. And I would have much rather preferred to see a less detailed version, like in the 2006 movie, if we could actually have more screen time for him and him more true to his actual character, because he was a really large. He was the entertainment of the manga and the anime. So seeing him be to be honest, he was very bland. While the visuals were amazing, he was a very bland character. So
anybody else? Go ahead. Oh, nobody?
I didn't like the whole. I was gonna say I didn't like the whole thing with Light sitting in the school gymnasium. He's reading the Death Note, and Mia comes up. He's like, "Oh, it's nothing. Don't worry about it. Can I tell you anyway?" Like, what was that all about? You know, basically, he wants to brag about having the power of life and death to a girl so he can hook up. I don't know. That was just a really
it's typical teenagers thinking.
But it was just really weird, I thought.
Well, they had to speed up the film. It was only a certain amount of time given.
Yeah. It was like, were they paying Willem Dafoe by the hour or something? Yeah. Okay. Lady, now you've been quiet. Anything you want to throw in?
No,
Okay.
not really. It's just that Light does not scream like a girl.
And give me more Shingami. I want to see the other gods of death, to be honest with you. Because that would have been an interesting sort of like, sexy couple of cutaways to say, like, he's come from a place where there are other people like him. So this is why he's such a sort of, a complete game player, to be honest with you, and just likes mucking about with people.
Yeah, it could have ended it. Instead of ending the way it did, it could have just ended in sort of like a cliffhanger with the other one showing up. And of course, and Mira not being killed off like that, because then of course you could have had us who's seen it. You could have built up more, especially the battle between Light and L. That could have went to the next part, but they just made it as a one movie with no continuation, unless they are going to do it. I mean, they could talk about it too. Everything is filmed and done. I'll wait and see.
But also the music was made it look like a real teen drama as well. I don't know if anyone else thought the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was shocked to hear that Chicago. I like Chicago and Air Supply. Jesus.
I think as soon as you started watching it, as soon as she got into 30 seconds in, she just went, No.
Yeah, like 2 minutes in, I walked into the kitchen and I was like, Dad, I don't think I can watch this.
She did it. Parental justice.
It is weird.
Is it me, or did it seem like Ryuk seemed like a bit of a dodgy lawyer where he's sitting on the bed and he's telling Light about the rules? He's like, you can do this, but you can't do that, It just seemed like he should be wearing a tie and suit.
And they did. They just made him soft focus all the time. I don't know whether it's the idea that he's supposed to be an unreal character, and that's why you can't. Well, no one else can see him, so that's why he's always out of focus. But I think it would have given it more dimension if whoever touches the book can then see. So that would have given more like oomph, I think, to Mia's character as well. To be honest with you, if she could see him, then you could have done maybe a bit more with it, and instead of her just not looking like a crazy bitch. For want of a better word, who just likes to, get her rocks off, and then, she looked like something out of Heathers or Mean Girls by the end of it. To be honest with you, because she just went nuts. Yeah, we've seen crazy women with death fetishes and Fatal Attraction and everything like that. If I can't have you, no one will, and I'm going to kill everyone else in the process.
Yep. She kind of had like a Feruza Bulk from the Craft vibe.
You know what?
Yeah.
I was thinking that was exactly the person I was thinking of actress-wise was her. Yeah, you bang on.
I think we lost Doctor Who commentator. I think he's frozen.
No,
Oh.
He's just shocked and stunned at how much he hated it. He's become a panel in his own book. He really has.
Another 2 points. I didn't like how they gave Kira the name Kira a backstory. Like, it didn't need to have a trope behind it. Why the name Kira was picked. I think if in the 2006 version, the name just appears. There's no reason or rhyme behind it. They just come up with the name. I thought it was silly to have that, and also Ryuk, not really the stealthiest death god, is he? I mean, he scared the living crap out of Light when he first appeared. You just see him running around screaming like a little bitch.
Oh yeah. Oh.
And no way got in trouble for the classroom being smashed up. No way was there any offer of therapy when you've just seen some kid's head explode, courtesy of a ladder just outside of the window as well. Yeah, it's a really great schooling environment.
Or a kid that's over 18 years old hits a minor and nothing happens to him.
Yeah. That's it. I don't know. It's just sort of like, the deal with the top hat, the prom dance. It did. It's just like, it did. The only way I can describe it. Yeah. If anything, it will give you an interest to go out and look for more. That's the one redeeming thing I could probably say about this. Because had I not watched this, I might say, okay, there's all this controversy about it. Why is there a controversy about it? And then if you take the time to go away and look at the other stuff for it, then great. Do you know what I mean? Then you think, oh yeah, well, it wasn't so great after all, and probably there's valid points to it. But yeah, I suppose if it's an entry level for people who don't watch anime or read mangas or whatever you call it, and you and your kids and people.
I think if I saw that with my backstory, I don't think I'd want to watch anything else.
There you go. Yeah, that's your teen audience that you're aiming at. Yeah.
Also, if you're a socially awkward teen and a cheerleader just starts hitting on you out of nowhere, it's like right there, the panic button should have been screaming. It's like, okay, something's not right here. Well, at least that's what happened to me. It's like, oh. Okay, anything else? Because we lost Doctor Who commentator, and I haven't heard anything from him yet.
That's the thing, because remember, I think Mia might have been Light's first girlfriend ever because he asked her permission to kiss her, and she had to tell him, "You're not supposed to ask like that." So you have to watch it and pick it up, and to notice this stuff. But they didn't follow it up more because to see how awkward he is, because once he got into the with the Death Note and all that part of their relationship, got stepped aside. You just see him, more and more killings being done like that. So like Big said, it should have been more than just a movie. It could have been 3 or 4 parts.
Do you think there's anything is there anything you think it could have done with to have made it better? Because you're like a fan of that.
Honestly, I didn't like the actor that played Light. I didn't think he was a very good character, and it wasn't a very good actor either. A lot of the time, they made the character more emotional for a start, which was a stupid thing to do, but his face never really seemed to change except when he was scared in the classroom, in which Ryuk suddenly had superpowers and made the whole room mess up, which isn't a thing in any of the other stuff. As well as, he was in detention at the time. Did the teacher not come back?
Yeah, that's funny. They didn't get into that. I wish they did.
I know. It's like I was thinking of the Breakfast Club. Yeah, I thought I heard a ruckus. Oh, yeah, let me see. The whole room's trashed and nobody says a word. Is how it got that way. Yeah.
Don't mess with the bull, young man. You'll get the horns.
It's like talk about it's suspension. Damn. Okay, Dr. Commentator, you've been gone for a couple minutes. So go ahead and hop in. Whatever thoughts you have.
Oh, I'm just trying to think of anything. I mean, I don't know if anyone's pointed this out, but actually, no, I think people did point it out that it was just a complete teen drama. And frankly, sorry, I just realized I've got to talk quietly at the moment. As Lady Beef was saying, that is absolutely not what Death Note was about. This whole thing was supposed to be a cat and mouse game between a guy who thinks he's a god and a man who is the embodiment of the law. And the ultimate point of Death Note, if you watch this, read the story or watch it, is that which one is justice? In fact, this is even a point of the musical, if nothing else. One of the songs is where both the characters actually say, "I am justice." And that's the real implication of Death Note that has been completely lost in this, which is what is ethically right? Is it right to kill for the sake of killing other murderers? What is true justice? And this is something that film decided, no, we don't want to do anything complicated. We just want a simple little teen drama. And I mean, like I said, these movies did that okay. Why can't this one?
Yeah, they did seem to shortcut quite a bit. And they tend to do that with films where they take things and adapt them for Western audiences. I've noticed this over and over. Americans are always assumed to be stupid. They either water it down like crazy, or this is too graphic for this particular audience. We can't do that. They did the same thing with, like, when Highlander came to the United States. There was entire parts of the movie Highlander I didn't see till almost a freaking 20 years after, because I was like, wait a minute, there's a longer version of this movie? Yeah, but they didn't release it in the United States because Americans would have gotten confused by this part, and this part, and they wouldn't have understood that part. I'm like, that's funny. I watched it and I understood this fine, you stupid jackasses. But they tend to do the same thing, when they adapt, Japanese works. I've noticed also they cut a lot of things out. Oh, come on, Americans don't want to think when they go to the movies. Are you nuts? They do it a lot. I've noticed it. Oh, go ahead, William.
We all got to remember that this year alone, America messed up a Japanese anime and manga with Ghost in the Shell. I love the actress very much, but somebody needs to get smacked in the head. They tore that manga anime apart, and I recommend it. If you have not seen the American version, don't watch it. Go watch the anime and go watch Standalone Complex.
I can tell you exactly why ScarJo was in that movie, and it's right here. Okay, that's why she was in that movie. That woman has all the acting ability of a dead carrot. Okay,
I'm going to say right now, I actually did like that movie. I'm probably one of the few who did.
It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but at the same time, come on, where the hell were the Tachakomas?
Can I just make another point about changes that were made?
Oh, go right ahead.
Yeah, because I was just looking at my notes. I don't know if anyone really noticed, but in this version, I'm sure, again, Lady Beef will notice probably equally annoyed. They made it that Ryuk seems to manipulate the deaths. I mean, you probably noticed someone writes the name in the notebook and then he starts following the person who's going to die, or even with the Ferris wheel, he was cutting the Ferris wheel down. I'm like, no, that is not the point. The idea is that the Shinigami, their powers come from the Death Note. It's not the Death Note manipulates the Shinigami. Complete opposite point. In fact, again, there's been ideas of what is the Death Note for to the Shinigami. Well, here's the point. Say you have a man who will die at 60, and at the age of 60, and then you write for them to die at the age of 40. The Shinigami will then receive the remaining 20 years of that man's life. That's the point, to extend their own lives.
So they're like weeping angels.
Kind of, yeah.
Sorry about the comparison, but because they feed on the energy.
Now the question is, what other Japanese manga or anime or the people here in the United States are going to try to emulate in either original Netflix films or other TV series or anything that's coming out?
You want
James
me to
Cameron's doing one. It's Battle at Alita Attilia. I don't know the name of it. I remember
that movie been scheduled for years, so I'm not.
Yeah, that's been in development hell for years. Same thing.
Oh
with,
yeah, but I think it is actually coming. I'm seeing promotion for it now.
Oh, get ready! I hope you're sitting down. But for a few years there, they were trying to get a Cowboy Bebop one done, and it would have been Keanu Reeves playing the main character of Spike Spiegel.
Okay.
Whoa.
There's also meant to be there's been an Akira movie in development hell for years now.
So, but of course, it never materialized. Thank God.
Thank goodness we're gonna get a live action from Japan of Full Metal Alchemist.
Matter of fact, the Robotech movie is still getting bounced around right now, and it's actually made progress, which scares the living shit out of me. But then again, in itself, Robotech was a bastardization of 3 different anime series to begin with. But I still like it. But
just more things about changes. This is something that actually really pissed me off. There was one part where Light said, when he was writing for Watari to die, he ended it with Ryuk by saying, dealer's choice. Again, really big change, completely different from the actual rules. The important rules here: if the cause of death is written within 40 seconds of writing the person's name, it will happen. If the cause of death is not specified, the person will simply die of a heart attack. And that's another point, actually. The vast majority of the deaths in here, I'd heard about this Death movie for years, and I thought, oh, they're just going to make the deaths really gory for the sake of it, aren't they? And yep. What's wrong with a simple heart attack? The idea wasn't supposed to be to feel how ruthless Kira is. It was just to feel his judgment as the one passing judgment.
Am I the only one who thinks that there's a plot point that was dropped when Watari got killed? He has Light's mobile number on his phone.
This is, again, another point about unrealistic.
Yeah.
He couldn't have done that.
No, I'm saying Light's mobile number is on his phone. So all L has to do is find that number and call him.
But again, this is what I made a point earlier about deaths being unrealistic in that Watari, he couldn't have possibly known Light's number, so writing that in a notebook, he couldn't have possibly contacted him and told him, I'm obsessed with revealing L. I mean, no, he would have just died of a heart attack in that situation.
okay, anybody else before we rate this sucker and put it to bed? Oh, Beef's got his hand up. All right, go ahead, Beef.
With the death of that bully kid or whatever, wasn't that, even if you look at his character in the mangas and anime as well, that seems really extreme for him. He always focused on killing convicted criminals and people like that, but instead he chose to target a bully with something. A bully's a bully, they exist. It seems really far to go to have, knowing the possibility that it could actually work, the fact that he chose to let just an 18-year-old be decapitated
in that situation, I would actually agree. This is a different movie. This is a different light, and this is one that really is just learning what's going on right now. And you have to remember, it was Ryuk pretty much guiding him in this one, how to kill.
Yeah, I agree with that. Even more Ryuk influenced him for that teenager to be killed in that specific way instead of just having a heart attack like that.
And why did you have to have his mum dead and then just have the pointless throat cut? Yeah, was that the one? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
That really bothered
Yeah,
me.
the throat cut is just like that's obviously we're going for as many spectacular ways as we could die. Yeah, like Dr. Who commentator was saying. Yeah, the beauty of it was the heart attack because that was what was supposed to make it untraceable. And it's you lose that just by going for I think big budget spectacle and you're going for the attention grab.
Well,
a team audience and trying to make it like. Hey, death is sexy these days. Yeah, kill other people, but not yourselves. After watching 13 Reasons Why, yeah, maybe that's the plan.
Yeah, it did really bother me the fact they killed off the mum because, in the end, I think that was like a half-assed attempt to give him a motive. And the point is, in the actual series, is that he has no motive. He's just got a god complex and a twisted sense of judgment.
There's an even bigger point to that. I mentioned this period about the Shinigami eyes. I mean, again, I told you that story about if you have a man at sick who will live to 60 and you kill him at 40. This is a story that Ryuk explains to Light, and he does this to say, now how do you think we know what their names are and how long they're going to live? Because our eyes tell us to, and we can give these eyes to a human. And he says, well, how do you do this? You have to give up half your lifespan. And Light's reaction to this, it's actually different between the manga and anime and the movie. In the movie, it's just like, well, I don't want to do that. I'm talking about the Japanese movie here. In the original story, it's actually a lot more complex. Again, the part of his god complex, where he's saying, well, I don't want to do that because I plan to be god of the new world, and as god of the new world, I have to be god of the new world for a long time. So he's not doing it just because I don't want to do that. He's saying he's thinking meticulously about what his future is going to be.
That's why I think Misa was more into that than he was, because especially she wanted that book that badly too. Because she was more, you could say that Misa was acting more like the god complex Light from the manga and anime than the way Light was in this movie. So that's why I'm a little bit upsetting that she got killed off. I wish she didn't, because I would have loved to see another if they do it, her, dealing with it. But we find out if they do it, what's going to happen.
Oh yeah, I can also make a point about that ending by saying that Light's plan at the end, where everything that Light wrote at the end of that movie to eventually kill off Mia, that was way too intelligent for this Light. Yeah, it would make sense for the one in the manga and the anime, but it was way too intelligent for this one.
Well, the way I saw it was,
sorry.
No, the way I saw it was, because of his experience and all that, that's what he started thinking like is toward the end. He started thinking ahead instead of, just being the dumbass, like he was with the whole movie. He's like, okay, I got to get out of this somehow. And then that's when he finally started thinking, okay, how do I do this? So in a way, it was a little bit of character evolution, just a tiny bit. But. Okay, anyone else? Before we go ahead and rate this sucker and put it to bed. All right, let's rate this sucker and put it to bed then. Okay, starting with Dr. Who Commentator, out of 10, what do you rate Death Note, the Netflix movie?
3.
All right, Lady Neo.
3.5.
Okay, slightly better. Okay, the Beefs.
You first, ladies first.
Probably a 2.
Harsh. Right, for me, if you're going to have a story, regardless of all the other books and everything like that, you have to have a sense of character development and a lesson learned by the end of it. And you don't really have that with Light's character. He hasn't really learned the lesson by the end of it. There's not really an arc of discovery. And from that point of view, then you're falling apart as a story. Yeah, it's rushed, and because there's not enough fleshing out of the backstory for the rest of them, then you're losing it. And then, when you're detracting from what is a very good source material and you're going for what just seems like a cash grab, then, you're falling apart. I would say maybe for the only point is that it will promote interest to go and look at the original source material. Then I'll rate it maybe a 5, 5.5, but that will be a generous aspect to it.
As far as not learning his lesson goes, this is Light now discovered, having been shot, and this is what Ryuk does.
Okay, AJ.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this a 4. Not as good as the live action Japanese movies I've seen, but it's still okay for a watch, Friday night sort of thing.
Okay, William.
I'm gonna give it a 7. Like I said, it's not a great movie, and like you said, Freedom is much better than Dark Tower. But like Beef said, it could have been easier 3 or 4 part miniseries. Could have stretched out longer, and maybe even develop some of these characters more. Whether they're gonna do a sequel, like I said, we wait and find out.
Okay, I was going to give it a 6. Like I said, it's not the worst movie I've ever watched, but at the same time, it's not really fantastic either. But like I said, the only reason I'm giving it a 6 because once again, Willem Dafoe. Like I said, even though he's not in the movie a whole lot, I think he did a really good job with the character. He should have gotten a lot more screen time than he did. Like I said, it was like, are they paying him by the hour? Is that why he's not there that much? But, but I've seen far, far, far worse, and that's the only reason I'm going to give it a 6. Okay, folks. Well, for now, that's it. Be sure to join us next time because I'm going to throw a dealer's choice to these guys after we get off the air as to what the next show is going to be. And we're going to choose between 3 different subjects. And hopefully, we'll pick one, and then I'll let you know what it's going to be. So, by the way, one sad note before we go. Yeah, today was the last day for the Doctor Who experience. It is shut down. It is done. It is over. Now, as far as where it's moving or not, everybody's been asking me all day, have I heard anything about it? And I said, I don't know. All I've heard is one thing where somebody claimed at a con they announced it's moving to a larger facility and that it would include the 12th Doctor's TARDIS. But until I hear anything confirming that, I'd take it with a grain of salt, really. So that's all I got to say. Good night. Take care. Have a good one. See y'all later.
Back of the day, keep Shinzo on me away.